Most people don't realize they're being used, not because they're weak, but because they're kind, loyal, and willing to give without counting the cost. In a world that praises selflessness, it's easy to confuse virtue with self-betrayal. Stoic philosophy, however, teaches a sharper truth. Your time, energy, and presence are your most valuable possessions, and not everyone who benefits from them deserves access to them. There is a quiet pain that comes from sensing something is off in a relationship, yet having no clear proof. You feel drained after certain conversations. Your generosity is expected, never appreciated. Your absence goes unnoticed, but your usefulness is always remembered. The Stoics warned about this long before modern psychology gave it a name. They understood that people reveal their intentions not through words, but through patterns of behavior. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you must observe carefully what gives people their motives. When someone values what you provide more than who you are, the imbalance eventually exposes itself. Not loudly, not dramatically, but consistently. And if you lack awareness, you may mistake exploitation for connection. This is not about becoming cold, suspicious, or bitter. Stoicism does not teach resentment. It teaches clarity. It shows you how to stand firm in your worth without anger, how to set boundaries without guilt, and how to walk away without needing revenge or validation. In this video, we'll uncover 5 unmistakable signs that reveal when someone is using you. Signs rooted in Stoic wisdom and timeless human behavior. Once you see them, you won't unsee them. And more importantly, you'll learn how to respond with calm strength, self-respect, and inner freedom. Number 1. Your value rises only. When you're useful, one of the most revealing signs that someone is using you is how their behavior changes based on what you can offer. When they need help, advice, money, emotional support, or access to your skills, you suddenly matter. They check in, listen closely, and treat you with warmth. But once their need is met, or you are no longer available, the attention fades, the silence grows, the connection weakens, and you're left wondering what changed. What changed is not you. What changed is your usefulness. In this dynamic, your worth is not rooted in who you are, but in what you provide. You are valued as a tool, not respected as a person. The Stoics strongly warned against this trap. Epictetus taught that anything tied to external approval or utility is unstable and ultimately outside your control. When your value depends on how useful you are to others, it can be withdrawn at any moment. Watch carefully how they treat you when you say no, when you are tired, or when you need something in return. Do they remain present, or do they become distant, irritated, or dismissive? This shift exposes the truth. Mutual relationships endure pauses. Transactional ones do not. Over time, this pattern conditions you to overgive. You begin to feel that rest makes you irrelevant, boundaries make you disposable, and self-care makes you selfish. This is how people slowly trade their self-respect for temporary approval. Marcus Aurelius warned that people often admire the benefit, not the benefactor. Once the benefit ends, the admiration vanishes with it. Stoicism teaches a powerful correction. Your worth is intrinsic, not earned through exhaustion. You do not need to perform to deserve respect. When you stop chasing relevance through usefulness, clarity emerges. Those who truly value you will remain consistent. Those who only valued what you could offer will quietly disappear. And in that moment, you gain something far more important than their approval: your freedom. Number 2. They feel entitled to your time, not grateful for it. A subtle but powerful sign that someone is using you is how they treat your time. They don't ask for it, they assume it. Your availability is taken for granted, your effort is expected, and your presence is treated as an obligation rather than a gift. There is no thank you, no awareness of sacrifice, no respect for your limits. What should be appreciated becomes demanded. In healthy relationships, time is honored because it is finite. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca wrote that time is the one thing even the most powerful people cannot recover once it is spent. To waste someone's time or to claim ownership over it is a quiet form of disrespect. When someone feels entitled to your time, they are signaling that they see it as a resource they can draw from freely, without cost to themselves. Notice how they react when you are unavailable. Do they respond with understanding or with guilt, pressure, and subtle punishment? Entitlement often reveals itself through irritation when boundaries appear. They may accuse you of being distant, changed, or selfish, not because you've done wrong, but because you've interrupted their access to you. Over time, this dynamic trains you to stay accessible at all costs. You rush, cancel plans, ignore your own needs, and remain on standby, afraid that saying no will lead to conflict or abandonment. Stoicism rejects this mindset. Epictetus taught that no one has power over you unless you hand it to them. When your time is constantly claimed without consent, control has already shifted away from you. People who respect you are mindful. They ask, they wait, they adapt. They recognize that your life does not exist to serve theirs. People who use you consume without conscience, rarely pausing to consider the impact on you. The Stoic response is calm but firm. Reclaim your time without apology. When you stop offering unlimited access, the truth becomes clear. Gratitude stays. Entitlement resists. And in that resistance, you discover exactly where you stand. Number 3. 1. Your needs are always later. Another clear sign that someone is using you is how consistently your needs are postponed. They listen, just enough to seem attentive. They nod, offer vague reassurance, and say the right words. But when it comes time to show up, take action, or offer real support, there is always a delay. Later. Soon. I'll get back to you. And often, they never do. This creates a quiet imbalance. You are present when they need comfort, solutions, or strength. Yet when the roles reverse, your needs are treated as optional. Emergencies on their side demand immediate attention. Yours are met with excuses, busyness, or silence. Over time, this teaches you to minimize your own needs so the relationship can continue functioning. Stoic philosophy emphasizes reciprocity and balance. While the Stoics warned against emotional dependency, they also understood that healthy relationships require mutual regard. When one person continually receives and the other continually waits, the exchange is already broken. As Marcus Aurelius observed, justice in human interaction means fairness in effort, not just words. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Someone who truly values you may not always be available, but they will be consistent. They will follow through. They will make room when it matters. Someone who is using you keeps you emotionally on hold, close enough to extract value, distant enough to avoid responsibility. This dynamic often traps compassionate people. You excuse their absence, rationalize their behavior, and tell yourself they're just overwhelmed. But Stoicism teaches clarity over comfort. Repeated postponement is not circumstance, it is choice. The Stoic response is not confrontation fueled by emotion, but quiet observation followed by adjustment. You stop overextending. You match effort with effort. You stop treating their urgency as more important than your well-being. When you do this, one of two things happens. Balance is restored, or the relationship fades. Either outcome brings truth. And in Stoic wisdom, truth, however uncomfortable, is always preferable to illusion. Number 4. They avoid you. When you stop. Overgiving. One of the most revealing moments in any relationship is when you stop overgiving. Not when you become cruel or distant, but when you simply begin to set healthy limits. This is when the truth surfaces. Suddenly their behavior changes. They grow cold. They reduce contact. They act offended, confused, or subtly resentful. Some may even accuse you of changing, as if your boundaries are a personal betrayal. This reaction is not about you becoming less kind. It's about them losing unrestricted access. People who genuinely value you adjust when your availability changes. They respect your limits and find new ways to connect. But people who are using you experience boundaries as resistance. Your generosity was the foundation of the relationship, not mutual respect. When that foundation weakens, so does their interest. Epictetus taught that we should pay close attention to how people react when they are denied what they expect. Discomfort reveals attachment. When someone becomes unsettled by your boundaries, it exposes what they were attached to. Not you, but what you provided. Overgiving often creates a silent contract you never agreed to. You become the helper, the listener, the fixer, the reliable one. When you step out of that role, it disrupts their comfort. Instead of reflecting, they withdraw. Avoidance becomes their way of punishing you for no longer playing your part. This can trigger guilt. You may feel selfish, harsh, or unloving. Stoicism offers clarity here. Virtue does not require self-erasure. Giving without limits is not wisdom. It is vulnerability without protection. The Stoic response is calm consistency. You don't chase, explain, or over-justify. You maintain your boundaries and observe. Those who value you will remain present. Those who relied on your overgiving will fade away. And in that space where they withdraw, you gain something essential. Proof. Proof that your boundaries were necessary and that your generosity was never meant to be limitless. Number 5. You feel drained, not strengthened. One of the most honest signals in any relationship is how you feel after an interaction. Not what was said, not what was promised, but what remains in you once the conversation ends. When someone is using you, you often walk away feeling exhausted, heavy, or subtly diminished, as if something has been taken rather than shared. This kind of fatigue is not always obvious. It can be quiet and cumulative. You may feel mentally scattered, emotionally burdened, or strangely empty. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that relationships should strengthen your character, sharpen your clarity, and support your inner order. When consistent interaction leads to depletion instead of growth, something is out of alignment. Energy never lies because it bypasses excuses. You can rationalize someone's behavior, defend their intentions, and explain away their absence, but your inner state tells the truth. If your peace erodes around someone, it is a signal from your own wisdom, not a flaw in your compassion. Often this drain comes from imbalance. You listen more than you are heard. You give more than you receive. You carry emotional weight that is not yours to hold. Over time, this creates internal tension, the quiet conflict between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. Marcus Aurelius warned against allowing others to disturb the harmony of your mind. While Stoicism does not advocate emotional withdrawal from everyone, it insists on discernment. Not everyone deserves the same level of access to your inner world. Some connections require distance, not closeness. The Stoic response is awareness followed by adjustment. You limit exposure without hostility. You reduce emotional investment without bitterness. You choose peace over obligation. This is not abandonment, it is self-governance. When you begin honoring how you feel, the fog lifts. You stop forcing connections that weaken you, and you start preserving energy for relationships that leave you steadier, clearer, and stronger. Because the ultimate Stoic lesson is this: anything that consistently steals your peace is too expensive, no matter how familiar it feels. Conclusion. Recognizing the signs that someone is using you is not about becoming suspicious or hardened. It's about reclaiming clarity. Stoic philosophy never asked us to isolate ourselves from others. It asked us to see reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. When relationships are built on imbalance, entitlement, and depletion, the cost is always paid internally, through peace, self-respect, and emotional strength. Each sign you've learned points to the same truth. Where there is no reciprocity, there is no harmony. When your value rises only when you're useful, your time is taken without gratitude, your needs are endlessly postponed, your boundaries are resisted, and your energy is drained. The relationship is no longer mutual, it is extractive. And no amount of patience or overgiving can transform exploitation into connection. Stoicism teaches responsibility over resentment. You are not required to confront everyone or explain yourself endlessly. Your greatest power lies in choice, what you allow, what you tolerate, and where you invest your time and energy. As Epictetus reminded us, you always have control over how you respond, even when you cannot control others. Walking away from imbalance is not cruelty, it is self-respect. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it is wisdom, and choosing peace over familiarity is not weakness, It is strength refined by awareness. When you begin to honor yourself, the right people adjust, and the wrong ones fall away. This is not loss, it is alignment. The Stoics believed that inner freedom comes from living in accordance with truth. And the truth is this: relationships should strengthen your character, not slowly erode it. Protect your time, guard your energy, stand firm in your worth. When you do, you don't just avoid being used. You step into a life governed by clarity, dignity, and unshakable inner peace.